Hello YouTube, ZiggyNo here with another video. In this video I want to talk about a few things in the state of the hobby, what's kind of going on recently, the news, the buzz, on my perspective, my thoughts. First I want to take a second and talk about the fake slabs that we heard about in the hobby. Now I don't want to regurgitate all the information. I tell you the best information right now is being found on the Blowout forums. There are several YouTube groups and channels you can also follow, including my daily show where I will provide any updates I get going on. But right now, what we know is that two slabs showed up with the same exact serial numbers and tags. It appears that the cases are different. There's several things that make them look different. I guess it's not really worth going into all those details. What I want to talk about is what does this mean in the bigger picture and what you would be thinking. One thing that came up on the hobby hotline conversation Saturday morning was that this is not the first time this has happened. In other words, there have been fake slabs before. I think PSA was subject to this many, many years ago, which is why they started creating the holograms. Now, I don't recall looking at a Beckett slab and seeing if it has the hologram or how, what anti-theft, anti-counterfeit techniques are they using. There's been some criticism that it's been a while since they've upgraded that technology. And I suspect they obviously are aware, as you saw in one of their tweets, they are aware and they kind of recommended beware, kind of buyer beware was their response. But that's another major concern here. So a few things. First of all, remember, this is not the first one that's happened. And it also say that all slabs, I believe, are susceptible to counterfeiting, right? Every safe is susceptible to a crack. It's the amount of time, effort, and money. And I'd say the same is about slabs. Hold on a second for a COVID sneeze. Achoo! Achoo! Just kidding. I don't think it's COVID. But anyway, moving on. So we should all be diligent about looking at our PSA and our SGC slabs. We should also be looking at the manufacturers to talk to us more about what they're doing to prevent that, that being counterfeiting. But we also need to look at the bigger picture, and that is that we've seen a lot of recent growth in this hobby, and we've reaped the reward of that. The excitement, the new people, the new channels, the new followers, the new opportunities to sell, the new excitement in cards, the new products. But that also means more fraud and more people who are going to try to take advantage of that. If you look at this example, somebody was able to create a system where they're going to manufacture fake slabs. And let's look at this right now. There's 3D printing in everywhere. So that's not very difficult to do. I think it'd be very easy to 3D print a slab, okay? Now, how do I get the foils? Again, not very difficult to get those little labels and counterfeit those. Right? A lot of them are showing up on the internet. You have pictures of them, certificate numbers out there. Should we start hiding those numbers? What's the security around this? I don't know. But again, the technology is there. Man, if we can make a gun with a 3D printer, I can sure make a slab. Now the real question is, are the cards fake too? And somebody else brought that up. Neo, Northeast Ohio Sports, brought up in his channel. What if the cards are fake? Right? That's even, in my opinion, more and more concerning, because now we have to think about it's not just a slab; it's a card. And if the card maybe is fake, could the fake card get by somebody in the grading industry, which I hope it wouldn't? So, also, again, think about this. The guys who did this, man, they were smart enough to do it on a very low grade solution. It's kind of like they made a $5 bill. And that's the first $5 bill we saw. You got to assume there's more of these, or that can't be the only one out there. So what do we do to find more of these? How do we track this? Everybody says, look at serial numbers, check to make sure they're registered. Well, what good does that do? If you had one of those two, you would have checked and it probably was registered. There's a great opportunity. We talk about innovation in the hobby. If someone's listening, for a registry of sports cards, a sports card registry, like we register DNS names, but a registry for sports cards. Even I know you can't register every base card, but you could register every graded card, and you could register every serial numbered raw card. You could have two registries, and you could have a crossover registry, right? If a serial number is graded, it shows up in a mutual registry, or it's more metadata. There's a huge opportunity for this. There's a lot of reasons for this. I'm not going to go into them, but again, just if someone could think about putting together a registry that monitors. Let me give you a quick example of a good value for this. If you had a registry that could track the serial numbers of certain products, you would know basically the hit ratio on certain products for value. So, for example, if you could calculate how many NT RPAs have been pulled out of the 2019-20 NT basketball, you would know how many Jaws and Zions are left and what the hit ratio is and what the percentage is if you hit one of those and the payout is, right? I mean, think about this, guy. Someone puts together a registry and starts tracking. And again, you could use it to track for financial benefit. And you could sell that data, but you could also use that just to track for anti-theft, right? If a slab's registered, once it's registered, it's in the registry. Who owned it? They could, say they pass it on, or there would at least be some type of history what happens there. So, in summary, on the fake slabs, let's all be diligent. Let's another thing real quickly I want to mention. Let's not throw rocks at BGS here, okay, guys? If we love PSA or SGC or whatever it is, it's not throw rocks at BGS because everybody's susceptible to this, in my opinion, unless you can prove me wrong. Okay, and even if you do prove me wrong, think about this. You don't want to panic everybody and everybody, throwing their slabs back to BGS, asking them to regrade them, or else even worse, sending their BGS slabs to everybody else and flooding their lines. So let's stay calm in the water. Okay, let's hope that the community can police this. Now, I will close on one thought. If this fraud continues or gets bigger or it goes unchecked, there's not a lot of investigative money being put into the anti-fraud world, from what I understand. That's coming from some conversations. I'm listening to some of the authentication conversations on Beckett Live. I asked Steve Grad one time, he was talking about fake authentication, fake autographs. And I said, well, how much investigation and FBI research and resources are going? And he said, sadly, not enough. And I think even less today. I mean, you got to think about the priorities of the world and what's going on. I don't think there's an FBI agent assigned to, hey, did you guys hear there was a fake BGS slab in China this week? Now, it's definitely important, has economic impact. It is a form of fraud, theft, it's intellectual property, but I bet you the resources behind it aren't there. So we're going to need to self-police this in many ways. And that's a whole nother debate on whether you want more, government regulation, government involvement, and how would you get that involved, right? So this fake slab thing is a little bit bigger. It's just the tip of the iceberg when we look at what its impact is. I'm hoping that we don't panic, but we stay educated, we stay diligent. Look at what you've got. You might be asked to, send a picture of the side of a slab sometime. You're like, well, why is he asking? But expect that nowadays. Maybe more in-person transactions you'll see, which I think is sad, because right now we're in a tough spot. But anyway, I begin to digress. Let me go ahead and spend the next few minutes talking about the next topic for the evening, and that is retail products. Now, retail products, wow, this is one of those third rail. Well, it's not really third rail. It's just one of those challenging topics in today's times. I've been to several retail stores over the last few weeks, and man, there's nothing out there. I mean, there really is. There's nothing out there. And what I can tell you is when I get to a store, which has been very rare, when I get to a store where they're stocking, normally there's people already there. And if I decide to stick around, like if it was two or three, we will normally share the stuff, basically in order. The first person gets a pick of what it is or whatever, but we share. So there hasn't been any violence or fighting. We've, I've made friends with people, joked with people. I've only done that honestly twice. One time I was there before someone else and I shared with them. So the sharing seems to work. I'm okay with that, and I've heard good stories how the product is making it to the shelf. I think what it is when it hits the shelf, it's being wiped out, which I understand. I was talking about this the other day where right now it's at the point where if I go to a store and they have a product that I don't like I don't know, let's say Topps update. I have friends that I know who will buy it, so I will just send them a message, hey, do you guys want some of this? And I sell it to them at cost, right, plus shipping. And I think it's an important point to make is that I'm not profiting off of it, right? I don't buy it to profit, but I do buy it all that I can when and if I see it to get it to the people that I know who want it. And maybe more people are doing the same thing. Maybe more of them are charging a little bit of profit or whatever. It's probably happening. But I do think that that's one thing that, we need to take into consideration. Right now, the situation is if you see it, you buy it. I mean, if it's foolish not to in many ways, right? Because if you're in the hobby, you can do a guy a solid by selling him some product he likes at cost, right? Plus shipping. Another thing I do that I like to do with my boys is we'll rip the stuff for the people. That's even better. Hey, can we just rip it for you? And we'll top load it and then we ship it to the people. So I like doing that a lot. So I say that because when you look at what's going on in retail, the shelves are empty. If I see a shelf that's got cards on it, I'm going to empty it. So I understand why it's empty, right? I can't sit here and complain about why it's being emptied when I'm just as guilty. And I can't complain about the guys getting up and hustling because some mornings I get up and go hustle, some mornings I don't. It just depends on what I feel like. But I know the game, right? And that's the thing I'll say is we all know this game. If you want to be in the retail game, you got to hustle hard. And you might not get stuff, right? So that being said, reason I mentioned what's going on there. So what's the solution, right? I listened to a video from Panini Vice President. I think it was actually in September, and he said in the video, and it kind of it was an aha moment for me. He said, in August of 19, we did $2 million in retail Walmart business. In 20 of August, we did 15 million because we didn't increase the price of the product. We just made more product. So that's a 7x increase in product made. Now, again, that's not in the peak time of a Prism product. That's basically probably Mosaic football, maybe some I don't know, some other illusions and so that. It's a lot of, in my opinion, lower valued retail, but they did $15 million of it. Wow. So, and we ate that up, guys. So I mentioned that when I say, look, the solution to retail is currently what we're in right now. We are basically in the middle of the storm. We're in the storm called a free market. Okay, that's what this is. This is an unregulated market where there's a demand for something and there's a limited supply and there's interesting ways. I kind of think it's like the Wild West, right? And we're at different locations in the West and we're hoping for the stage wagon to get to us. But sometimes the stage wagon gets robbed and we don't get anything on our stage wagon. But we need to kind of embrace the fact that this is the market. So a few things you can do, right? You can ignore it and not buy it. You can hustle faster and go get it and make profit off it. If you get it, you could cut your profits and lower the price on it. There's a lot of things we can do in the market. Now, I'm not going to preach here what to do. All I'm basically telling you to do is think about what's going on and try to remove the emotion and the envy and the jealousy and the greed of it and just accept that it is what it is. Okay? The other day, Prism football blaster sold out in seconds on Panini's website for $50 a blaster in seconds. And these are just their base blasters. Okay? Panini just validated that, hey, our blasters are worth $50. They know that. Retail markets got them at 20, 25, whatever. They're going to sell 50. We know that. We validated. We told them it's 50. So they're probably worth 100. They might be worth 120, which makes my tummy hurt to say that, guys. But the market has done that. So, for example, I've got my boys, and we are a big fan of Prism football. Now, I looked at buying a hobby box, and it makes my stomach sick to think about spending, $1,000 for a hobby box. I just really can't wrap my mind around that. I just can't. But for some reason, I could wrap my mind around spending less than $1,000 on retail at aftermarket price. Does that mean I get 10 blasters? Does that mean I get, a couple cellos and some blasters? I don't know. Mega box or two? I don't know. I'm going to play the game. I'm going to go out and hustle when I hear it hits the street. I'm going to buy it on the secondary market when I can. I'm going to rip it with my sons. We're going to chase the quarterbacks. We're going to set a budget as well. I think that's a very important thing to do. We're going to set a budget on what we're going to spend on Prism. But we are going to, like I said, embrace it. We're not going to complain and cry and whine. It is what it is, guys. So in retail, let's not complain about the guy who gets there before us. Let's not complain about the guys listing it at 3x. We're the ones that have created that monster, right? We can change that if you want to be the one that gets it and sells it at a lower price. I will say this. I will tell you again. If I were to hit a spot, a honey pot, right, a honey hole, a Prism basket football, I'm going to sell it to my friends at cost as well, okay? And those friends know who they are. I'll send them a message. Hey, man, I found 20 boxes. I don't need 20. I really don't. I wouldn't want 20 blasters. I don't need that much football. My boys and I would not need that much football. So I would sell that to my other friends at cost. And I've done this a lot of times in the past with basketball, where I find basketball product or baseball product. I sell it to my friends at cost plus, or, plus shipping, whatever. Because again, it is what it is. So be kind out there in retail. Hustle hard. A few things I tell you too that I'm working on. Work together as a group. I saw one gentleman mention in his community, there's like 4 or 5 of them, and they'll hide Prism for each other. Now, I don't necessarily say you should hide it for each other, but I can see where you buy it for each other, right? Like, hey, can I send you $100 in PayPal? Can you buy me 4 boxes? I'll come pick it up from you. I think that's a good idea. I think I was talking to some friends in my area that I've met at different locations about, let's text on the Thursday morning. If you hit a store and I'll hit a store, I'll tell you if it's got any or not. So they can save you the drive. Hey, I'm already here, man. there's an empty ham already here. There is some. Come on over. That type of stuff. So I think that's an important thing. Kind of going back to the hobby and finding ways that again, we're all in the same battle together and kind of enjoy it. It is what it is. Will it correct itself? I don't know what's going to make it better. I think the prices are going to go up. I think here's what I will tell you. Last year, believe it or not, there were products that sat on the shelf because they had no value. And in the last year, they had found value because for some reason we started buying those cards up. In a few years, we're going to go back to where their retail products will have little value. I know that's hard to believe, but this is a cyclical thing. It will happen. I don't know if it's going to get they're going to get you know lose value because they're going to get diluted or something, but it's just the way it is. It can't stay like this. I'd also say the stores won't keep it the way they are. They're going to either raise the prices or they're going to change the way they distribute it, right? Well, again, that's all I really want to talk about. Again, I want to talk a little bit about the fake slabs, and a little bit about retail tonight. I hope you enjoyed listening to my banter. Again, thank you very much for checking out the channel, subscribing. I'm going to continue doing Sports Card Daily every day as long as I can, and going to put out more and more of this content and hoping to do some live shows and some collaborations as we move into the holiday season. Have a great day, stay safe, and stay healthy.